Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a rework petition video. If you do nothing else or hear nothing else, please go to the description, click the link which will take you to the main Rise to War Discord, to the suggestions channel, to this exact suggestion that I put together. And in past history, when we've gotten the players well focused on one thing, we have gotten some changes in the game. I'm not saying it's foolproof or that this is guaranteed by any means, but I'd like to try and use the platform to get us all focused on one area. And so we did a vote in my Discord on 4 commanders, as you can see here, and Legolas won by just a couple of votes. So today's focus will be Legolas, but fret not if your favorite commander is not very good in the game and you want some changes to happen. That could be happening in a future video, but for now, help get behind the whole community and help us let the devs know that we want some of the more iconic Middle-earth characters to be a little bit better in this game. So stay tuned, more details on the rework coming, but for now, let's roll the intro. Now, like I said, I plan on doing many of these, so make sure you're in the Discord, which is linked down below. So when the next time we vote, you can have yours included, so you can make sure your favorite commander has a fair shot at getting a rework petition video done. But the first question I want to answer is why I think the devs should rework commanders in the game. At least from a player perspective, it seems like the attitude about reworks is reworking old content doesn't really make them money. And to an extent, there might be some truth to that. It might make less money than other big new updates or new commanders that are dropping where literally no one has them and everyone's spending to get them. But I think there are 2 reasons that I think should be considered by the devs if the devs are watching. The first one being that if the player base feels like they're being listened to, it's going to build a more confident player base. So if we all say we want reworks, we want some commanders to be better, and the devs listen and do that, it's going to make players feel like they're heard and feel more confident about the direction of the game, which on the whole is going to be beneficial for the game. I'm definitely in that category of players who I usually spend a pretty good amount, but I have a lot of times where I feel less confident about the future, the direction of the game, so I spend a little bit less or more hesitantly or whatever you want to call it. And so if I all of a sudden feel like the devs are listening, they're doing things that we want for the game, they want the game to be around, I'm going to have less worry and spend a little bit more. That's just the reality of it. Obviously, players who don't spend aren't going to spend, but players who spend are going to be more confident in the devs if they feel listened to. So that's the first point. Just I think it makes sense to make your player base more confident in your game, in your product. The second point is, yes, it's not a brand new character that everyone's going to be going for, but the point is not everyone has their Legolas up and running at a respect 3 or 5 or whatever level. And if he's made better and needs more respect points, people are going to put more respect into him. People are going to need more gear in their accounts to run Legolas if they want to. So to me, it just seems like it's not quite as intense as a new character launch, but you're probably making a decent money from players who just want to play with an iconic character like Legolas. And there are a few who probably have put way too much respect and tried gearing Legolas in the past. And yeah, there might be some who are just ready to go out the gate, but there's a lot of players, myself included, who at the most have an R5 Legolas. And if he was a lot better, I'd definitely consider pushing him up and opening some Mathoms to get some more gear so I can run him properly. But I don't know. I think it makes sense. I think there's enough to be made and enough to be a benefit to the devs to rework commanders. Now, the next question I want to answer is why are we focusing on Legolas? Now, first of all, we did vote on this in the Discord, so we're focusing on him because the most people voted on him, although it was very close with Kamul, who we'll be covering in a future video. So don't freak out on me and post in the comments like Legolas isn't that bad. I know Legolas isn't that bad, but the point for me and the reason I put him on the list is he is one of the most iconic characters in Middle-earth history, and he's subpar in the game. I mean, again, at respect 3 with some decent gear, he's going to hurt a little bit to hit, but I don't think by any means in the meta or someone who's going to compete super well in the meta. So I definitely think he needs a little bit more respect in this game. So that's the reason he got on the list. And then outside of people just liking Legolas and voting for him, that's why we're covering Legolas today. With that being said, again, I'm going to plug the Discord a lot, so you got to bear with me. The Discord, the @me Discord is linked down below. If you want to be a part of the next vote, make sure that Kumul maybe gets his spotlight here soon, or maybe there's someone else. Join the Discord, let me know, and be a part of the next vote that's happening. That's linked down below. Now I want to talk about what I think could happen with Legolas. I don't have every single title and sub skill spelled out here. Maybe if you have some ideas, feel free to leave those down in the comments below, because I know the devs do watch the channel from time to time, so maybe they'll see those, or maybe if I like one enough, I can make another video as a follow-up on legitimate, like, complete build, rework ideas. But the way I see it, there are 4 types of commanders in this game. Number one, they are commanders who just do one thing really well. A lot of their skill trees, 3 or more, all work together and they do one thing. And that's it, and they do it well. There are a lot of commanders in the meta like that who just do one thing well. The next type of commander are the commanders who do 2 things above average, so they fall into the hybrid category where they don't overly rely on one thing to carry them through, but they equally rely on themselves doing damage and their troops doing damage. There are a few really good hybrid commanders in the meta who, again, do them above average enough that they can compete with those 2 different types of unit and commander damage. Then the third type, and the category I think Legolas falls into, are commanders who do 2 things, but it's just average or maybe below average, which is exactly what Legolas does. He has 2 trees, the Greenleaf and Elven Prince trees, which have to do with commander damage, Legolas himself doing the damage, and the other 2 have to do with buffing the troops, adding effects to your army. But it's not amazing, and nobody is running around. I shouldn't say nobody, but most people aren't running around with hybrid Legolases and kicking butt. So neither of these trees on their own are good enough to carry him into the first category, and together there's not enough going on that they become hybrid. So he just sits in that average category where you can run him as a damage commander, and there are some points you can put in that aren't bad, but it's not really changing the game at all. He's just a very, very average commander. The fourth and final category, which we have plenty of commanders in, are commanders who have 3 or more different things that they do. So they have just their skill trees are all over the place, and they do 3 different things or more. There's no cohesion, and they're just bad, which is not Legolas, but I think he's just above that where he does 2 things on average. But we do have commanders we're going to talk about in the future who I think do 3 or more things and are just bad and need complete overhauls. Legolas, I don't think needs that, but he definitely needs some love to get himself into one of the other 2 categories above the one he's in. So what I'd like to propose for Legolas devs, if you're still listening, I hope you're there. I would propose that either Legolas be brought into the first category I talked about, where he does one thing really well, enough to be competitive enough to use consistently. My suggestion would be that would be his commander damage tree. He has 2 trees for that, and he just needs something else added. So whether you want to take something that other damage commanders already have, someone like tier 2 Aragorn has something as simple as his R5 title as increase commander damage and gain initiative. If Legolas had that, if he had initiative and increased damage on all his skills, that could be enough to bump him up significantly. Or there could be adjustments on any skills where the damage is increased, the damage is modified by might, for example. I even thought something like dual blows. Legolas is an iconic, like, multiple arrow wielding commander, so make something unique for Legolas that's called like triple strike, and he has a chance to attack 3 times in a round. I don't know what it would be, but that'd be kind of cool if Legolas was the only commander with an ability like that. But some improvement to his commander damage, I think, brings him into the category where he does one thing well enough to be competitive with it. I think that makes the most sense. Obviously, if the kit wants to stay the same, or maybe, you know, people want him to be a hybrid commander, you would need to improve the commander damage tree slightly, and you need to improve or change the troop buffing tree slightly. That way he can still do a little bit of both, but I think it makes more sense for him just to be a damage commander. If you see what he's doing in the movies and in the lore, he's a very cool character who just goes out and does awesome things. So I think he just needs to be kicking butt himself. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think, if you want him to be in the first category as a kind of do one thing damage commander, or do you want him to be more hybrid, leading troops and doing some himself? But again, I think either way, any improvement from where he is now would be appreciated. One last thing I want to talk about is his unique item, and I'm going to do a whole video on unique items in general soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. But in my opinion, and I think everyone can agree, as expensive as these items are, and as long as they take to get and fully refine, they should without a doubt be the best in slot for these commanders. Legolas's isn't horrible. You have might. Mirkwood Dexterity has normal attacks have a 35% chance of activating a level 1 Greenleaf or level 6 Greenleaf if you maxed it out, which again, level 6 on a skill that scales damage as you go higher is pretty underwhelming for something that would be, you know, supposed to be better than a gold item fully refined. So his item, I think, needs changed, whether it's, you know, maybe this goes all the way up to level 15, so it's a max level effect applied with the most damage that skill can do. Maybe it's also increasing the chance that it happens. Obviously, if he has his dual blows ability and it's attacking multiple times around, that makes sense that, you know, this wouldn't be 100%, but it should be better. Again, it's got some elf buffing, which is fine if he was a hybrid commander, but he's really not. So maybe changing that to more troop survivability, or just more commander, you know, more might, so his attacks do more, something like that I think would make more sense. But I definitely think in addition to a skill rework, his R10 item needs adjusted even slightly, I think would be a huge benefit to him. But that is pretty much going to do it for our petition for Legolas. Again, I don't know how much the devs are going to listen to specific suggestions for kit reworks or ideas like that. Obviously, devs, if you're still listening, you know how to reach me, or you know how to reach a lot of players who are very knowledgeable about the game. So please reach out if you guys aren't sure. But the bottom line is I want the player base to join together and let the devs know without a shadow of a doubt that Legolas is a commander that we'd like to see be a little bit better in the game, especially for how iconic he is in the movies and in the books. So like I said at the beginning, this post right here on the screen is linked down below. It's the very, very first link. All you do is click that and click the up arrow to add your vote to it. And hopefully, again, we've had several in the past get several hundred votes, which has gotten their attention. So hopefully it's something that, you know, we get a response from and we get a change with Legolas, and then we can keep doing these videos and really highlighting commanders who just aren't good. There's plenty of commanders in this game who are so iconic, who are legitimate, like actual named characters in the books, in the movies, and they're bad. And again, like I said, we have a commander like Sunend who, don't get me wrong, I enjoy using my Sunend, but she's a made-up character, a made-up commander in this game who's the best commander in the game, and your iconic commanders are kind of left in the dust. So again, that's going to do it for me in this one. If you want to see Legolas get some love, please check the post out down below. I appreciate everyone's time. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about this, about Legolas. Any thoughts? I want to hear them all. But that's going to do it for me in this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.